Well, Democrats still searching for a midterm strategy. Karl Rove laying out the stakes in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. He called it this: midterm strategy pulls Democrats apart, accusing progressives of pushing a record that voters seem to reject. And he joins me now. I mean, what in the world is the Democrats' midterm message going to be, Karl?
Well, they don't know yet, and that's what's been interesting in the last couple of weeks as the House Democrats have met in Philadelphia and the Democratic National Committee has met in Washington. This has been a big topic. Now, it's been sort of, overwhelmed by the news of Ukraine and so forth, but there's a big divide in the Democratic Party. There are at least 5 separate strategies being laid out there, and it's unclear what the consensus is going to end up being.
Do they need a consensus?
Well, they need to at least have a general agreement of what they need to do. Think about this. One group, led by the president, says, let's run on our record. But even the president, in his speech to the House Democrats, admitted that would be difficult because he said, when the American people, being faced with the challenges they are, when we talk about the American Rescue Plan, they say, what the heck is that? Some Democrats, it appears to be Nancy Pelosi and others, say, well, we got a good record. We just need to get better about messaging about it. And Nancy Pelosi famously came up with a slogan, Democrats deliver. So we need to get better at messaging. The problem is the progressives say none of that works. And the progressives say what we need to do is push bills like the Build Back Better and bring them to a vote. And even when we lose, people will say Democrats are trying to get the right thing done. And they will reward us by giving us a bigger majority, which seems to me to be, literally, the leader of the House Progressives said literally that. And Congresswoman from Washington State, and that's just amazing that they think that. If that's not enough, though, they say they have 71 executive orders they want the President of the United States to promulgate, most of which are, in essence, new laws being written by the President and forced on the country. But they want to do it by executive order. Then we had the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee saying, no, this is all about getting real and empathetic and being on the street, listening to the voters. That's good advice, but that ain't a message. That's a method.
We've just been watching a photograph being taken as Joe Biden is going to join the G7 leaders, and they're going to be talking about, obviously, Ukraine. So domestic politics not on the agenda there, but energy, that is an issue that he could possibly turn around here in America. But there are pressures from the progressives on that. There's a Fox News poll that we did on congressional voter preference. This is our new poll. It says Democrats 41, Republicans 43. What should we know about that number? When you look at that, do you think that's good for Republicans?
That's great for Republicans. Republicans can win the Congress and have won the Congress in the past when they're even or even a couple of points behind, because they have the independents at the end of the campaign, when there's a wave election like we're facing this year, a midterm election, go with the out party, and the Republicans are the out party. The Democrats are in trouble. They're going to be in trouble because it is the first midterm election of a new president.
Yeah.
But it's also the first midterm of a new president who has the second lowest ratings of any modern president. Only President Trump at this period was at or below where President Biden is. And we all know how 2018 worked out for the Republicans. Yeah. Not very good.
Hey, Karl,
same will be the same for the Democrats.
One last question for you. So the Democrats, because of COVID, instituted this proxy voting, right, except for Speaker of the House. And so you have many Democrats or members of Congress that don't have to come to Washington at all. And they can stay home and they can continue to campaign. This is, as COVID, we get into this post-COVID world. Should that rule be rescinded? Should members of Congress actually have to show up to do their job in person in Washington?
Yeah, absolutely, because one of the biggest problems with Congress is that it's not about getting the job done. It's not about sitting in a committee and trying to arrive at writing legislation. It's about waiting until the leadership writes a gigantic bill like Build Back Better, does it in the back rooms, and then throws it onto the floor of the House of Representatives in order to vote. We need to get back to what's called regular order, where members have to show up and actually do the work of legislating. You were on the Hill. I worked briefly on the Hill. The regular order requires members to actually do the job rather than just focus on politics back home or sit around waiting for the leadership to tell them it's time for you to vote on a bill you haven't read and haven't discussed or considered.
I even had to go to work during the shutdown. As I recall, when I worked on Capitol Hill back in the day, I was an essential employee. I would like to have everyone know. I didn't even know what I was really supposed to do, though. I was brand new when that all started.
You've always been an essential employee.
Well, we like showing up to work here, and we love seeing you. Thank you, Karl.
You bet. All the best.